Hey guys, Alex here from Top Tennis Training, and today I'll be reviewing the Dunlop SX300 Tour racket. This racket weighs in at 305 grams, it has a 16-19 string pattern, and it has a slightly reduced head size of 98 square inches. So the SX300 features the 100 square inch head, whereas this one's got the slightly reduced head size. I'll be testing it out to see how it performs. I definitely felt like it had more control compared to the non-tour version. The slightly heavier weight gave me a little bit more stability. It's a little bit less head-light compared to the non-tour version, but that 98 square inch head size gives you a little bit more control, more stability. And it does sacrifice, you do sacrifice a little bit of that forgiveness, so it's more of a player's racket. So if you are playing that higher level tennis, I'd say this would be more suitable to your game style. If you're more of a club player, perhaps the SX300 would be more of a forgiving option. I felt good at the net. I felt just like the non-tour version, the SX300. It was a solid racket at the net. It didn't quite have as much feel as some of the other rackets might be at the net, but it certainly had enough for it to be a definite contender for someone who likes to come forward. It was slightly less maybe maneuverable at the net compared to the 300. The 300 felt a little bit more head-light, so perhaps the added weight made it slightly less maneuverable, but what you did gain was a little bit more stability on the shot, and especially if someone hit the ball a little bit harder, and again that suits the slightly higher level of player. The harder the hit, the easier almost it was to handle that ball. I felt great on the smash, especially if I had time to get behind the ball. I felt like it gave me enough power and enough precision to put the ball away with confidence. I did feel like my serves had a little bit more power behind them, and that's a result of that added weight. Even that 5 grams makes all the difference, so the heaviness of the serve was definitely increased. I did feel like I could still add the topspin and the slice. It just felt like I had to be more sure of my motion. I think this is a slightly less forgiving racket than the 300 non-tour version, so make sure that if you are using it, then obviously you've got your technique in place. I feel like the 98 square inch head didn't really hinder my spin performance. I thought that was similar. I did feel like it just gave me a little bit more control, simply because of that smaller head size. Maybe the sweet spot was a little bit smaller, so it was less forgiving. I had to make sure that I really get the ball on the strings in the middle where the sweet spot is, rather than the slightly more forgiving version, the non-tour version. I felt like it definitely was a lot more stable. I feel like it was slightly more head heavy than the previous version, so actually it did help me to accelerate through the ball. The racket felt almost a little bit less flimsy, or a little bit more stable on the shots, and it was definitely so on the volleys. So on the volleys is where I felt the most difference, is because when I did come in, and handling those heavier balls became a lot easier with this racket. It definitely gave me the confidence to go for my shots from the back. I felt like I could generate quite a lot of topspin. It was a little bit more stable, I guess, than the non-tour version. So from the back, playing slightly higher level opponents, this would probably be more of my choice of racket to go for, but it definitely didn't sacrifice on some of the elements that made the SX300 non-tour version so successful. And then it gives you that extra spin, it has that string movement that allows for the extra spin, but you have to generate the spin yourself. So what you put into that spin, the racket definitely delivers on the other side of the net. I feel like definitely the edgier, so if you've got the hexagon shape where you have edges, a rougher texture to the string will give you more topspin, whereas this one felt like it was better slightly for the flatter shots, but topspin wasn't as achievable as it was with the slightly rougher string. It was definitely comparable. I'd say it's more comparable to the new Pure Drive. So how I felt that the new Pure Drive has gone a little bit more control, rather than power, whereas the older versions used to be a lot more powerful. I feel like they've gone more control, and I feel like this racket matches that a little bit more because it's a slightly more controlled racket compared to the non-tour version. So it suits an aggressive baseliner, someone who produces a lot of spin, someone who maybe wants to get a little bit more power behind their strokes, so somebody who wants to achieve more depth on their spin, someone maybe who wants to take their level up a notch, who wants to get a bigger serve, bigger shots, and this is certainly a racket that can do that for you. I think it's a fair price. It's slightly more than the non-tour version, but this is more of a higher level player's racket. So it does definitely command that higher price tag. It has that little bit more stability. It has a little bit more weight for you to put behind the shot. So definitely it's a racket that's a little bit cheaper than some of its competitors, yet it still produces the same amount of benefits as the competitors do. So overall, a great success for Dunlop, a racket that's both spin friendly, but also has that control element that a lot of the rackets are now trying to find. It's that power to topspin to control ratio. And I think this racket is well balanced for that, going for that slightly more powerful, more topspin friendly racket.